Hello everyone. Today, we'll be seeing how fast Electabuzz can beat Pokemon Red in a solo run challenge. This is another installment of Daily December. Let's get straight into the video. Electabuzz is a very interesting Pokemon in Generation 1. It's a mono-electric type with only one evolution line because Elekid and Electivire were not introduced yet. Elekid was introduced in Gen 2, and Electivire was introduced in Gen 4. And unlike most electric types, it's locked away to the power plant, and it has a very interesting moveset. But before we go over the moveset, we need to go over the stats. We have 65 HP, 83 attack, 57 defense, 85 special, and 105 speed. We are in the medium fast level up group, and that is actually going to matter for the early game. And I do want to mention why right now. And if you want to know why, look at our starting moveset. On the left hand side, we start with Leer and Quick Attack. That is not going to be a great moveset for Brock, but it's all we're going to have to deal with, because if you looked by level up, the rest of our moves include Thunder Shock at level 34, Screech, Thunder Punch, Light Screen, and Thunder. Quick Attack is our only move on the entire level up moveset that can even damage Brock. I mean, I should be glad this isn't Raichu. I did Raichu earlier in the year, and that thing only started with electric moves. I had to use Struggle for Brock. At least this time, Leer and Quick Attack can combo well with each other. And obviously, before Brock, I'm going to need to train real quickly for him. I actually just rush through the forest and make my way straight to the Light Years Junior Trainer in Brock's gym. My goal is to try and see if I can blackout train on the Diglett, and then I can just lose to the Sandshrew. I can do this by spamming Leer, but the problem is, with Red and Blue, is that the Sandshrew has Sand Attack because it's level 11, while in Red and Blue it's level 9, and because of that, it has Sand Attack. So it has a 50-50 chance of even attacking me, and for the purposes of blackout training, it's not that great. Although, I have been trying to try this neat little trick that some of the other Gen 1 solo runners do, actually purposefully take a lot of damage from the Diglett, so that way Sandshrew does not need to hit you as many times, because the Diglett only has Scratch. I continue blackout training here until I get to a total of 9 blackouts, and now we can go ahead and take on Brock. He leads off with Geodude. My plan is to try to get it to -1 or -2 defense before I spam Quick Attack. And if he uses Defense Curl, I can just apply another instance of Leer. I don't want it to get up too many Defense Curls because otherwise I'm not going to have enough power points to take out the Onix with Quick Attack. On my very first attempt against Brock, I actually get a reset. It does take quite a bit of luck from the Onix, but it only takes me 2 resets to actually defeat Brock at level 14. And with that, I now have the Boulder Badge. This gives me a 12.5% boost to my attack stat, and that'll definitely help out with Quick Attack for the rest of the early game, because we're not going to get another decent move until we get Body Slam and Thunderbolt. And speaking of Body Slam and Thunderbolt, we need to go over the TMs that this Pokemon can get. That was a slight lie. We actually do get Mega Punch, which is obtainable inside Mount Moon, and then we can get Body Slam. We also do get all of the fighting moves, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Psychic, which is really strange. This is the only electric type to my knowledge in Gen 1 that gets Psychic. And then after that, we don't really get much else that's good. Although, Reflect could come in handy for Giovanni. We'll see. Plus, fortunately for me, I don't have any problems finding a Paris in here. I actually find one as my very last encounter in here, which is quite good. If I didn't find a Paris, I would have had to catch a Bellsprout in the wild or something, and that would not have been fun. And then we can get to Cerulean City. And now we have to ask the age-old question, should we fight Misty or Rival 2 first? I opt for Rival 2 even though we're an electric type because we don't have an electric move yet. And because of the fact we don't have an electric type move, the Pidgeotto is going to have to be a 3-shot with Mega Punch. But fortunately for me, it doesn't get off any sand attacks, which really surprised me. That's all that thing is known for. But hey, I'll take it. And with the rival defeated, the Route 24 and 25 trainers don't really have any problems, although I do have to use Mega Punch on any Geodudes or Onixes that I have to fight, but fortunately it's not too bad. And then with Nugget Bridge cleared out, we can go ahead and take on the second gym leader, Misty. Misty leads off with a Staryu. I go ahead and two-shot it with Mega Punch. Well, Mega Punch then a Seismic Toss. Then on the Starmie, I miss a Mega Punch. It goes for X Defend, but it doesn't really matter. It actually gets a critical hit, which is pretty funny. And you may be wondering why I have Seismic Toss. This move is going to be very helpful for the self-destructing hiker inside of Rock Tunnel, because without this move, I would have to spam Body Slam and hope for paralysis or something. But our defense stat is not the best. I don't want to rely on that kind of strat, so I'm going with Seismic Toss. But fortunately, we don't have to use only normal and fighting moves for very long. As soon as we get to the SSN, I can go ahead and get Body Slam over Mega Punch, yes, but then after I defeat the rival here, I can then go challenge Lieutenant Surge, and if I win, well not if I win, but when I win, I can go ahead and get Thunderbolt. So why don't we go take out Surge and go get this impressive TM. Surge leads off with a Voltorb. It usually likes to survive physical moves, and today is no different. The Pikachu though, I can't really say the same for. I do misclick and go for Seismic Toss instead of Body Slam, and then on the Raichu, I two-shot it with Body Slam and all it does is use Thunder Shock. I mean, Thunderbolt wouldn't have even killed me. Maybe a crit Thunderbolt, but he's effectively stood no chance. And then with Surge defeated, not only do I get a 12.5% boost to my defense, I can also go ahead and get the TM for Thunderbolt. With access to Body Slam, Thunderbolt, and Seismic Toss, my moveset is very close to completion at this point. And now, we need to go take on the Route 9 Rock Tunnel Gauntlet of Trainers. With fortunate access to both Body Slam and Seismic Toss, the Cubones and Geodudes and Graveler in here don't provide any threat, and then I can make my way out unscathed and make my way to Celadon City. As soon as I enter Celadon City, I actually go to the top floor of the department store, exchange all of the drinks for TMs, because I want to sell these TMs so I have more money to buy things like vitamins. And today's Vitamin of the Day is 3 Calcium. Pretty self-explanatory, we need more special attack. Then I can go ahead and get the HM for Fly, completely destroy the rival fight here, as well as all the channelers in Pokemon Tower. I'll have to use a Pokédoll though on the Marowak and send it to hell, because he's keeping Mr. Fuji hostage. We can't have that, he's such a nice guy, you know? And with Mr. Fuji rescued from the evil grasps of Marowak, I can go ahead and get the Pokeflute, and now, the world is my cloister. I can either go do Cycling Road into Koga, I could go fight Erica, or go straight to Sylph. And the first thing I do is go straight to Cycling Road. I do try and battle some of the good bikers here for some XP, but unfortunately when I was fighting the biker boss, he's the biker at the bottom of Cycling Road with 5 Pokemon, I actually end up getting a blackout here, because his Weezing actually does quite a lot of damage with Sludge. But I am able to come back pretty quick and finish him off. And then inside Fuchsia City, I have to go enter the Safari Zone, get all of the goodies inside of there, and now I can either do Erica, Koga, or Silphco. And I choose to go take on Koga, because if I can defeat him, I'll get access to Surf, and then fight a lot of the water trainers as well for more training. So let's go ahead and take on Koga. Koga leads off with Coughing. It does survive a Thunderbolt, which is kind of surprising. That thing has lower special than defense. Then the Muck is gonna be a 3-shot with Thunderbolt, unfortunately. And I am poisoned, but fortunately, the turn you knock something out, you don't take poison damage. Although I am pretty worried now about self-destruct for Weezing. And the very first attack from the Weezing is a self-destruct. I think if I wasn't poisoned, I would have been fine. On the very next attempt, even though I do get poisoned, I do get slightly luckier, especially with Weezing not using self-destruct, and then I can actually defeat Koga for the Soul Badge. This does give a 12.5% boost to my speed, although that doesn't really matter as much. And then next, I actually choose to go to Saffron City and go take out Sylph. Plus another thing I can get here is the TM for Psychic. I have no idea why this thing learned Psychic, but hey, I'll take it. I'm going to get rid of Quick Attack for it. Although one thing I will admit, I should have gotten Psychic before going to Koga. That was completely my fault. I do fight a lot of the trainers in Sylph as well, because I am going to need a decent level for the Giovanni fight at the top of the tower. But with access to Body Slam and Thunderbolt, the rival fight here is pretty much a joke. But I think Giovanni is actually going to be scarier, so let's check out the fight. I can one-shot the Nidorino and the Kangaskhan with Thunderbolt, and then Psychic will one-shot the Rhyhorn, and then Psychic two-shots the Nidoqueen. Oh, you were wondering why I said this was hard? It's for suspense, okay? Anyway, I can fly to Pallet Town, take a brisk swim down to Cinnabar Island, props to Matt for that line, and then I can get the rare candies inside of here as well, and then I can fly back and go take on Blaine. Blaine leads off with Growlithe. I use Thunderbolt for the one-shot, as well as the Ponyta. Oh, I guess it lived. Fortunately, funnily enough, the Rapidash gets a one-shot because of a crit, and then the Arcanine looks like it's a range to be a two-shot, but a guaranteed three-shot. But I do fortunately get a Super Potion from Blaine, which is pretty typical of him, and then I can actually just use that to defeat him. Alrighty, Sabrina time. Sabrina leads off with Kadabra. I use Body Slam for the one-shot, and then on Mr. Mime it does survive and use Barrier, but it's not going to really matter. And then on the Venomoth I can use Psychic, and then Alakazam I misclick and go for Thunderbolt. That's fine though, it doesn't really do anything. We're going to continue this gym leader spree though. We got to take on Erica before we take on Giovanni. Psychic, Psychic, Psychic. I did not learn Light Screen though. Okay, let's take on Giovanni now. Giovanni leads off with Rhyhorn. Surprisingly, it survives a Psychic. Then on the Dugtrio, I go for Body Slam. It then goes underground, and get this, he's paralyzed. He goes for Dig, and he gets paralyzed underground. He actually activated the Dig paralysis glitch. But fortunately, Giovanni's not smart enough to keep that status up the whole time, and he does use Dig again, and I am able to knock it out. But then once I get to the Rhydon, it's a guaranteed win. His only ground-type move is Fissure, and it really cannot do anything because of how slow he is. And yeah, that was a very interesting Giovanni fight. I think that's the first time he's ever activated the Dig paralysis glitch. It's kind of funny. Before I take on Rival 6 though, I do use 5 rare candies to go from level 50 to level 55. And with this higher level, I have 173 speed. I will outspeed everything in the game, including Lance's Aerodactyl. Even though, funnily enough, I get stun spored by the Execute, and now I'm slower than everything anyway. But that's fine though. Thunderbolt and Body Slam can take care of the rest of the fight. And as we head through Victory Road, we should probably take a quick glance at the Elite Four. Lorelei is going to lead things off, and Lorelei is pretty good with Electric-type Pokemon. Bruno though, or I'm sorry, the Hiker, he wasn't introduced yet. The Hiker might be a little tricky because I do have to use Seismic Toss for the Onixes, but his Onixes do not have Dig in Red and Blue. They do have Dig in Yellow version. If this was a Yellow version, I would probably do something like Mimic Dig or Mimic Ice Punch or something. But anyway, I arrive at the Pokemon League. I heal at the center, buy some full restores, and now we need to go take on the final 5 trainers. Let's do this shit. Before I ever start the fight with Lorelei, I do learn Mimic in the place of Seismic Toss. Seismic Toss is a good strat for the Hiker, but it's just too slow. But funnily enough, on Lorelei, I could do something that's completely unnecessary and Mimic Amnesia set up 3 times and just completely devastate the battlefield with many uses of Thunderbolt. Next up is the Fighting-type Elite Four member, the Hiker. He leads off with Onyx. I actually go ahead and mimic Harden because I actually am going to use 6 Hardens to completely badge boost my attack stat and slowly take it out with either Body Slam or Psychic. And I go for Body Slam even though I have Psychic. I did that just to show you how dumb that was. But once that's defeated, the rest of his team goes down pretty easily. Yeah, setting up those Hardens was completely unnecessary. I mainly did that just to flex. Kinda like how I did with Lorelei. Next up is the Ghost-type Leaf 4 member, Agatha. Agatha leads off with Gengar. I go ahead and use Psychic for the 2-shot. Lucky for me, it uses Dream Eater while I'm awake. And then Thunderbolt takes care of the Golbat, and then Psychic is going to have to 2-shot the Haunter. It does go for Hypnosis, but fortunately it was actually a Hypno miss. And then on her final Gengar, it has Dream Eater, but not Hypnosis, so I'm fine. Next up is the the Dragon-type Elite Four member, Lance. Lance leads off with his Gyarados, which takes over 9 million damage from Thunderbolt. Then on the Dragonair, I go ahead and mimic Agility. My plan is to try and set up some Agilities, not for the outspeeding, but for the badge boost to my attack and my special stat. And funnily enough, Hyper Beam doesn't really do too much damage to me. Although now that I think about it, I am not sure if these Agilities were necessary. I end up at pretty dangerously low health going into the Dragonite. And fortunately, it's one turn to attack. It just uses Agility. Okay, Lance probably threw the fight there, but I definitely came very close to a reset. And now with Lance defeated, we now have to take on the champion. So let's go ahead and finish this run. He leads off with Pidgeot. I go for a turn 1 Thunderbolt, obviously taking care of it. And then Body Slam takes care of the Alakazam thanks to a crit. And then on the Rhydon, I go ahead and do the classic Mimic Horn Drill strat. And I'm not going to use it right away. I'm actually going to spam Body Slam on it first in Thunderbolt. I'm going to see if I can get some badge boosts to my stats with Leer. I want to try and get more attack and more special, although the Rhydon doesn't really like to cooperate sometimes. But once I get 2 to 3 badge boosts, I go ahead and just take it out. Then on the Exeggutor, I one-shot it with Horn Drill on the very first try, and then I can Thunderbolt the Gyarados, get to level 62, lose all my badge boosts, and then defeat the Charizard and clock in. So yeah, those setups were unnecessary. I gotta stop mimicking setup moves. Electabuzz clocks in with a real time of 51 minutes and 13 seconds, with 3 resets and 10 blackouts at level 62, with a game time at the Hall of Fame of 3 hours and 16 minutes. So yeah, for an electric type, this Pokemon did very good, although its bad Brock split definitely held it back. But you gotta admit though, despite that bad Brock split, this Pokemon still got a very good time. I think if I got rid of a bunch of those unnecessary resets from me being stupid, this thing probably could have gotten a 50-minute, maybe even a 49x. But I'm not going to go for that right now. Maybe I'll redo this run in the new year, but we'll see. But if we take a look at the leaderboard though, this Pokemon definitely did not score near the top, but it did get a solid placement overall. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to follow me on my socials or support the channel through YouTube memberships. YouTube members get access to the patch files for all the backport Pokemon we do on stream. Anyway, the next video for Daily December, which is tomorrow, is going to be a heavily requested run by one of my mods named Dominic. He's been requesting this run for a long time, and I've decided, you know what? My Christmas gift to him will be this video. It'll be Pokemon X with Aegislash. This is going to be a fun run. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next installment of Daily December.